Hi guys, this is Massa from the Great White North. So the Kickstarter is almost there, and because we are really trying to go very deep in Genesis, and because Sid is awesome, he came back to the channel, and we're gonna talk with him in detail about the Kickstarter. It's gonna be out December 1st. Hi Sid, how are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Well, we are both very busy for different reasons, but a lot of it is Genesis too. So, but I'm very excited. Can you do a short intro of yourself and what is Genesis?
Sure. So I'm Usid. I'm the creator of Genesis, the CEO of Haunted Castle Gaming. I have been a passionate collectible card game player for over 20 years, and I started designing my own games when I was younger. And then it was about 7, 8 years ago that I started working on Genesis, brought it to the market in 2017. Genesis is supposed to be a tactical collectible card game. So different than all the other collectible card games because now you actually have to deal with space and direction when you're playing things. So the idea is you are a hero trapped in an arena fighting for your life against other opponents who will challenge you to basically the battle of your life.
That sounds good, and we have a lot of video on the channel. So I will put here the playlist. We have some deck tech from the best in the game. We have a tutorial how to play.
Yep.
So this is, I mean, I'm very excited. You didn't choose Kickstarter so far. You don't want to ask people to give you money if you are not sure your product is good.
Yeah.
And now you want to ask people some money, right? You want to go through Kickstarter.
My perspective is, so when I started Haunted Castle Gaming 4 years ago, there were just so many risks. There were so many unknowns when it came to going to market, figuring out what the retailer needs are, like your store. What are your needs? What are your challenges? What are the players' needs? What do they need in the market that's different than what's already out there? There were so many unknowns in that space, and it didn't feel right to ask people to give me money to go make those mistakes, to do that research. If I was going to do this, I had to take on that risk and responsibility myself. In those 4 years, we've learned a lot. We've made a lot of great partners. We've worked with amazing content creators, amazing stores, met some great people along the way who are here to help the game grow and succeed. And we're working as a community now. And now it's the point that we want to take the company to the next level. We've done the proof of concept. We've taken on those risks and mitigated a lot of them.
Mhm.
So now we're at the point where we want to go from the ground floor level, basically, and then just start growing exponentially. And the best way to do that is to look for other people who share that same vision, that same passion for collectible card games, and have us unite as a community to make this succeed.
All right, I see. So you know what? I'm convinced, and let's watch the trailer together. Looks pretty cool.
Thank you. Thank you.
And so, I mean, when you once you move to Kickstarter, you want to increase your brand awareness. You want to have more people coming to the game or at least to the market,
Yeah.
right? So my
Yeah.
question is, how do you plan on balancing maintaining a very high quality product and very high quality game with good accessibility, and balancing that with appealing to a broader mass, collectors, investors, people who just want to try something quick?
Mhm.
What's your plan?
So when it comes to maintaining the high quality of the game and the integrity of the game, this is something that my team and I have been talking a lot, a lot about recently, especially coming off of the championship. Because at that point, what we saw at the championship was the top tier deck. The deck that won was by a player who just started playing a few months ago, and it was a deck itself is only worth about $100 to $150. That is perfect for us because we want to say if you want to play the game, if you want to compete, it is about how good you are, what your skill level is, not some sort of I've been playing for 15 years, so no one could beat me.
Yeah.
No, new players who are really smart, really tactical, really strategical can definitely come in and give you a fight for your money, right? And then the other part to it is it isn't hard to get the cards you need to compete. However, when you talk about collectability and investability, those are completely different topics. And investability, I think, is a very new thing when it comes to collectible card games.
I agree.
It's been there in places in the past, but realistically, it really started in the early 2000s with the Pokemon craze. I mean, not early 2000, like early 2020, right?
Mhm.
When Pokemon exploded, all of a sudden these cards that were worth $60, $100 were now worth $5,000, $10,000.
Yeah.
Those numbers changed a lot. And this is a difference to things like Black Lotus or the original Charizard because those are collectibles. The reason why those are worth so much is because the IP, the game, the product, the company has proven year over year that they are growing, that they are reaching new audiences, that there's something that's worth holding on to when it comes to their early days. But investability, that's something brand new. And
Yeah.
we're really seeing that with like a lot of new games. So figuring out how to balance all those things, it's going to be a challenge. And
I understand what you say. Like,
yeah,
so I started Magic at the end of beta. I was
yeah.
in France, so we couldn't get beta. We had French Black Border,
Okay.
which was still cool, but we didn't get Black Lotus. So I bought a Black Lotus.
Oh,
Long,
very nice.
well, not long time after that, but
At the end of the day, we are in servitude to Genesis of the game.
Mhm.
Everything my team does is first and foremost, is this proper for the game, right? Are we giving people the best gaming experience? Are we giving them a reason to open up those packs, make their decks better, and come to the table and play with their friends? That is the most important thing to us. The second level to that is for the people who have been with us for a long time, who have supported us for years. We want to give them something that they can use to say, I was there. This holds
Mhm.
sentimental value to me. These are collectibles. These are
Yeah.
things that you use that you want to put up on display. They're items that mean something to you along the lines. And if you sell them, it's a little heartbreaking, right?
Exactly.
These are part of, there's an emotional connection. But investment, that's different. Investment, you purchase the item with the intention for growth and return on it. And you win some, you lose some. And the ones where you lose on, you're like, that's okay, I'll make it up on the ones I win. This is a completely different philosophy than what collectors do. And this is something that if you do it the wrong way in your game, it can really hurt your community.
You are building for the long term. Where if you flip something, the definition of flipping is to buy and get a return in a short
Yes.
time.
Yeah.
And that's not what you want. If if this Kickstarter is worth a lot of money in 10 years, this is good. The goal is not that it's worth a lot of money in March. That's the way I'm seeing this.
What we're looking for are angel investors. Angel investors in the tech space. They'll invest into a startup, not knowing if it'll succeed or not, wanting to see it grow in 5 to 10 years. And it's like in 10 years, I'll see how interested I still am in this company. And if I'm not, then I'll sell my shares. But if I am, then I'll continue working with you because I like you as an entrepreneur. And that's what I'm looking for. I want to find the angel investors. Just as a side story, I know the person who won this year's auction, the person who won the Alpha Starter Kit messaged me and was like, I am just so grateful to have a piece of Genesis history. And that's what I'm really interested in.
So let's focus on what is Origin.
All right.
And so we saw the trailer, but like what it is. So what does it mean, Origin? Like, does it change Genesis? Talking just from a lore point of view.
Okay. Let's talk about the lore. Let's talk about the name of Origins. So far, what we've experienced in Genesis is the southern part of Jalara. This is actually just the southern tip, just below the mountains. There's 4 cities that have been going to conflict.
Oh.
We've been dealing with their political situation, figuring out the strife and the conflict. But they're very, very modern. If you think of them, they're kind of like North America, an example. They were founded just a few hundred years ago and established and migrated and created all these things. It's a very young civilization. The people in the north, which aren't on this map, but the northern area, they've been there since the beginning of Jalara, the world. They've been there for thousands of years. And what happened when the universe was formed, there were 5 ancient creatures. They were named Bellum, Thymos, Axon, Phage, and Chaos, the 5 affiliations that we know of. These 5 creatures came together and they picked one world, Jalara. And in this world, they imbued it with all the properties they thought would make the perfect world. They created the creatures, they created the science and the physics around the world. But then one of the creatures, Bellum, decided that he wanted to create life that worshipped him. So he created the elves. And in rebellion, Chaos created the demons, ones that would adhere to their own values and their own principles and fight for their own freedom, right? What happened was these 2 races lived in harmony in the world, essentially, until at one point, one demon and one elf came together and they had a baby. And that baby was the first human ever born. Humans are 50% demon, 50% elf blood. Cool. This human created disruption in the entire world. And the elves and the demons went at war to figure out who would be the proper owner, because Bellum wanted this human for themselves and Chaos wanted this human for themselves. So all the 5 ancient ones went to war to fight to see who would be the owner of this human. In the process, this war raged on for 20 years, 18 to 20 years. And the humans grew up, they had kids of their own during war. And the humans who had kids with demons, that created the vampires. And the humans who had kids with elves, that created the fairies. So those are the 5 races that we have in Genesis. And then all these races came together to cast a spell which locked the 5 ancient ones in the aether, outside of time and space, so that they couldn't affect Jalara anymore. And they were locked away. And then the war, at this point, the elves beat the demons. The demons all died. There's only one living demon, which is Rain. So Rain went into hiding during the war and came out after the war was done and saw that the humans were thriving in the south and decided to become the protector of the humans. So you have...
Demons are the good people?
So...
For me,
demon is just a race. The whole entire concept, and when I started building the lore for Genesis as a whole, is that there's no good or bad. There's no evil or heroes. It's all perspective. It's how you see your position in the story. So the demons saw themselves as the heroes, and Rain herself sees herself as the protector of humans. So now we're coming back to the north, and the north has been in calm for a very long time. There's been civil disruptions, but basically when the elves took control of the north, Anahata, they created a hierarchy saying that the elves will be at the top. We're going to rule the city. The fairies, because they're 75% elf blood, they will be the second in command. The humans, who are 50% elf blood, will be below that. And then the vampires, who are the closest to the demons, they will be at the very bottom. Now we're finding ourselves, the beginning of the origin storyline starts with a civil war, basically. What happened was one of the vampires was murdered in the streets of Anahata, and the elves refused to do anything about this because it's a vampire. However, this vampire who died is related to Kasha, who is the leader of the vampires. And this ends up changes Kasha from wanting to deal with things on a political front to now actually taking physical action to try to justify the wrongs that her people have suffered for centuries.
So we are the north of
lot of-
those mountains, right?
Yes, yes.
So there is no map yet. I want a map.
Not
No
yet.
map. Okay, I hope we can get one. So
Yes.
just like you said the name of many people and like the
Yep.
first human, we see cards for that.
The first human is actually Kendra the champion. So she was the first human and was put into suspended animation with the Book of the Dam. The Book of the Dam is the book that trapped the 5 ancient ones into the Aether. So she was guarded to protect that. Nubia broke that suspended animation and brought Kendra into the modern world, where Rain is now taking care of her. And then Kasha, who you have on screen here, she is the leader of the vampires.
And I think we have the card. Yeah, we do have the card for Kasha.
Yeah.
She looked cool.
Yeah,
she looked like she's upset. Yeah.
Definitely my favorite champion. This is so the Akasha Codex. Akasha's name comes as a short form for that. They're not related in the storyline, but that's where that comes from. But Kasha was always going to be like my champion that I was going to play with forever. And I waited until Origins to release her because, like I've said many times, Origins as a set is where we actually consider the game as a hard launch. Everything we've done up to this point has been a soft launch. It's been learning and growing. But our hard launch for Genesis is with Origins, and that's why I put Kasha into the set.
Is that a new artist? I don't remember this name.
Mikhail's been working on this game since, I want to say he came in during Raids, but he may have been there in Welcome to JLR as well. He's done a lot of pieces that have been just amazing. So when we got the opportunity to start working on the Genesis Champions, we gave him a chance to start making his own. So yeah, he made this one. Actually, a few of the champions that we've already revealed, the artwork have been from Mikhail.
Okay, so Kasha looks really cool. Oh, I see. And so who is the leader of the elves?
That's Minot. She is one of the three elves that we'll be seeing in Origins, and she was actually there in the original war. She fought during the battle between the elves and the demons, and her race won. She ended up becoming the leader of the elves and is now the leader of the Senate.
Really cool art, still by Mikhail.
Mikhail, yep.
So she's same color as Nubia, but Nubia is not an elf, right?
So what we did in the South is that the affiliation combinations were based on political beliefs. And every city, because they're so young, all the cities, all the descendants are aligned to the same political beliefs. So they don't have the same affiliations. But in the North, because they're so much older, you have your one core belief, the thing that makes you different. That's where your second affiliation will come from. So all the elves have Bellum in them. All of the humans have Thymos. All of the fairies have Axon. And all the vampires have Chaos. So there'd be one affiliation that race, all the members of that race has the same affiliation, but then there might be different ones. So one of the elves is Bellum Axon. You have Minot. You have another one that is Bellum Phage. And then I think the last one is Bellum Chaos.
I see. I wanted to know, like, is this set only new cards? Will there be reprints? Is there any significant
a handful of reprints? And the ones we put in there are because they are significant reprints. Tsunami is getting reprinted in the set. And the other two cards that are getting reprinted are Dedicated Studies and Vampire Kiss. And these cards are being reprinted into the set. But besides that, all the other cards in the set are brand new, including the champions and everything else across the spectrum.
So how many cards are we talking about? Oops, sorry.
153 cards, if I'm not mistaken.
I see.
And there's a reason why we have small set size. Part of the reason is because it makes it, we talk about accessibility and collectability. For a game like this, where you need, 8 copies of a card or 12 copies of a card, making really large sets is not fair to the players, because then it'll take forever to get to a point where you can make the deck you really want to make. But when we talk about collectability, that's why we have epics and we have foils, things that are hard to get and do not appear very often in the set.
We have 12 new champions. That's like double, right?
Yeah, we're going from 12 to 24. It's going to be crazy.
Is Origin like going to change drastically how the gameplay, or is that just an evolution? Does that change drastically?
I think it'll be like we said, it's a core set. So if you don't actually get any cards from the older sets, you're not going to be left out. You're not going to have that missing piece of your equation. There are good cards in J2, of course, like Bolt Shot or Angel Retribution, Chrono Walker, Epiphany. There's a lot of great cards in the older sets. But Origins itself is supposed to be a good starting point for any player to get into the game, have all the tools needed from your low chi cards straight up to your high chi cards. There's a lot that's going into Origins. It's going to be a very, very awesome set. I'm really excited.
So like just a little advertisement talking about Genera Second. Reach out to me either on Discord or on YouTube or anywhere. And we have a competitive bundle with like 4 boxes, 2 starter, a playmat, and 2 promos that we are working with Assad, still a prototype. Cabus is a very cool card that's going to be full art with our logo. Just throwing this out there. And then coming back to the Kickstarter. So let's have a look at some of the heroes, because you spoiled, I think, 4 of them already.
Yes.
So we saw Manot. And now we can talk about like what she does and maybe a bit about what's special about her. So I see she has 24 life, 130 aura. Awareness is front and front, which is kind of interesting. It's kind of rare, I think. And so she's elf, obviously. Does this mean anything? Like, are there cards that are gonna say, okay, if you have an elf, this happens?
Mechanically, as of right now, no, it doesn't do anything special. It's just letting you know the race of your champion is.
And so she have an attack as a swift, which is always good. Deal 2 water damage to target your awareness.
Yeah.
Will the elements be more important in Origin than in Jelara?
Every set, we're working towards making the elements a little bit more valuable. So I can let you know for sure there are a lot of cards in Origins that work off of the elements and it can allow you to create really nice decks.
So what does she do special? She have Ice Wall, 5 aura or 4 energy. Target spot is considered occupied until end of the round, which means you just make a wall. That's cool. It's a very defensive character.
Yeah. This is one of the 2 champions I played with when we were spoiling Origins to the community at the championship. I played with Manat and Kasha, obviously. Manat, I really love. Her ability to keep your opponent at a distance, funnel them into the direction you want to go, or just completely ruin their plan is amazing. The cost for Ice Wall is either aura or energy.
It's anywhere.
So whichever resource you have the most of, you can optimize off of that. She plays.
It's not only in her awareness; it can be just like in front of. Oh wow! Yeah.
So if you want, like if you're leading the rounds, you can very easily at the beginning of the round just drop 3 ice walls in all of their spots, so your opponent can't move, and it gives you the opportunity to now seize control of the board. She is very much a control champion.
Oh, it doesn't exert. Oh my gosh, I just didn't. Okay, just so, for those who don't know, if you are stuck between 3 ice walls, you can still summon on them. You can't move onto them, but you can still beacon on them, because that was the first thing I got worried about. So that's really cool. I do like her. And I see this is a promo, Patreon exclusive. So how can we get it?
There'll be some fun announcements during the Kickstarter for Patreon members.
Okay, secret. All right. But don't. So that's what I'm telling to everybody. Like, if you want to become a patron, do it right now. It's better now than during the Kickstarter.
We have a lot of things planned in the future, which are going to reward people who are Patreon members prior to the announcements being made. So again, it's the idea that if you invest in us, if you believe in what we're doing, we will find ways to reward you.
And how many patrons do you have now?
We just hit 100 Patreon members today.
I know. I'm just asking you.
You know. You saw
the message. I sent so many to you, like I'm so excited. So 100 is awesome. It's big,
It's a big milestone.
Because when you think about it, like, I don't know how many active players there is for Genesis right now, but I don't think there is. I don't think there is more than 1,000.
I
What do
would
you
be
think?
surprised if it was more than 1,000.
So even if we say 1,000, that would mean 10% of those people love it so much that they want to support you directly. And I found it amazing. So next we have Corinne, which
Kareem.
is kind of she's a face cover of the game, or of the set.
Yeah, she was. I think it was one of the more anticipated champions because of her affiliation combination there.
Yeah.
Being Thymos Axon. No champion is Thymos Axon yet, right? So this is the
Mm.
first one. On top of that, you got the 2 energy reduction.
Oh
So
wow,
20
yeah.
health, 15 aura, 2 energy reduction, which we only saw in Fong before. Now you have a new champion who does that. This is a fairy. The
Oh yeah.
fairies, yep. And then action heavy attack 3, so she hits for a lot, but it's this readjustability, which is crazy. So Swift, readjust, discard a card and pay for aura. You lose your current awareness and gain the awareness of the discarded card. So if you discard a tsunami, your awareness is now all those 6 spots that you can hit for the 3 heavy damage.
Mm-hmm.
And that doesn't go away at the end of the round. You keep that awareness.
Oh.
And now, if the discarded card is a summon, you gain all abilities from that summon until end of round. So the awareness change is permanent, but the summon ability gain is temporary. So if you discarded Zamper Dragon, for example, you gain all 6 spots, you gain flight, you gain aerial, plus you gain the Swift electric attack 3. So she has she's a master weapon user. So you see the bow and arrow on her, the sword,
Yeah.
the halberd, but then you see the tail that's coming off of her. She's also a shapeshifter.
Oh, that's a Oh, I
Yeah.
see.
Yep.
That's so cool.
So this champion has a lot of flavor behind her. I love the artwork. All the different artworks you'll see her on techniques and spells. She has like in one piece she has a gorilla arm, and another piece she'll have wings. Like she just transformed so much that it's really cool. It's been fun working with her.
Very cool, very cool. So next we have Tashir.
Here. So again, 20 health, 90 aura, nothing too special there. The 2 energy reduction. You're gonna see more and more champions with 2 energy reduction. There's actually a champion coming out in Origins that has an energy reduction of 3, which is brand new thing that we explored. We got play tested a lot, and it's gonna be awesome. Her awareness is really what's exciting here. So she has no spots directly in front of her. She's a pure archer.
Yeah.
So she can hit people from a distance. She has the same affiliations as Fong Long and Erica, Bellum Thymos, which has in there to begin with. You got Bolt Shot, you have Substrike, you have Landslide. She has a Swift Air range attack too, so she is very mobile. She can shoot someone from afar for 2. But if you realize you don't need to move as much, you can stay where you are and hit someone for 3, which is very beneficial. And usually they aren't able to respond to her. So great champion, a lot of fun to play with. And I think people are going to be really, really excited to start building decks around her.
I see. And then we have
Kasha.
Your favorite, yes. So let's look at her again. Like,
Right.
let's see what she does.
So,
I will let you read because that's your baby. So let's.
22 health, 140 aura, no energy reduction, right? So she has a forward awareness. She is Bellum and Chaos. So finally, we're seeing this affiliation combination come to life. It's my favorite affiliation combination because I love everything about Bellum and Chaos. So you got a vampire. So her main attack is action speed, cast. So it's not a attack, it's a cast. So she can target flying creatures or anything like that. Target champion or summon in your awareness loses 1 health and you gain 1 health. So she is using magical abilities to draw the blood right out of you and drink it. And then she has blood convergence. Whenever you play an ability that costs health, you gain 1 health. So something like Underworld Knowledge, which costs Exert and 1 health, all it costs for her is the Exert cost. Death Eater costs 2 health instead of 3 now. And all those cards that were very powerful to begin with are now a little bit cheaper for her. And she can build a deck that's really powerful, very unique, and run cards that most players don't run a lot Because
Yeah, she looked like she's very like a build around card where when we look at Manot or Kryn, they look like they're powerhouse by themselves. I mean, anything looks okay, but like this one look kind of a combo build around.
she is very much dependent on the deck you build for her, but you can build a
Mhm.
very powerful deck that does some amazing things. And then on top of that, we're gonna have a lot of really cool cards come out in Origins that are specific to Kasha. Well, not specific to Kasha, but she can play them a little bit better than anyone else. So I'm excited.
I see this green symbol
Yeah.
here, and that's
Yes.
phage, right?
Yeah.
And that's new.
Uh,
So first question is, what is phage? And second is, why was it not in
all right.
former sets?
So before we talk about Fades, let's talk about the other four. So Bellum
Okay.
represents structure and order. Thymos represents
Okay.
emotion and the human drive. Axon represents knowledge and analytics. Chaos represents freedom and independence. Those are the big things. Phage represents survivability. It's about adapting to an environment that has left you behind and giving you the opportunity to thrive in those spaces. So when we look at the cities in the South, they were so close knit, they were so young. Surviving wasn't a big challenge for them because they figured it out and the land wasn't as harsh. But when we look at the areas in the north, they had to deal with a big war, which decimated the races, ruined everyone, and in a way enslaved the vampire race. They need to find a way to survive. And that's what Phage represents. It is the desire that you will do whatever it takes to make sure you are still alive tomorrow.
So there is no phage card spoiled yet, right?
No. So there is Electric Pillar was
that's
spoiled.
true. I have it.
So it is this one aligns to us. Oh, that's the other one, but we'll get to that in a bit. So in the older sets, all the other pillars were there. Bellum had air, Thymos had earth, Axon had water, and Chaos had fire. Phage is a focus on electric damage. So that's where Electric Pillar comes out. It's going to be a really cool card. I think out of all the pillars, this is the one the players are most excited for. So I'm really looking forward to getting that out there. A lot of people already have this in their hand because there's a Patreon exclusive promo at one point.
Yeah.
And then if we look at the Pestilent Mycophore, so this is the first Phage summon. This was created by Will, and you know Will very well.
Yeah.
He won the pitch contest. He created this card, and it's amazing. The pitch contest at that time was focused on 6 cheat cards that were going into Origins. So this is a Phage one, forward awareness 5 health. It beckons for 19 aura, which is a bit on the pricey side, but for what it does, it's worth it. It does electric damage, which is great. So something to keep in mind is the summon type. It's the fungus. It's not the ant that's crawling there. It's all the mushrooms that are growing off of it. That is the summon itself. So it has a trigger decay. This is actually what it does is whenever it deals damage to a summon, that summon gains decay. So this is actually a typo version. It should say decay brand instead of decay. So that will be fixed when we actually go to print. But this one, it gives decay whenever it deals damage to someone. And then it has this resurrect ability. So there are these creatures, Vidyuta, which is a ant. It's a 1 health, 1 attack ant, which we're seeing on the card. And whenever a summon with decay dies, you resurrect a ant where that creature died. And now you get this army. So now when you are starting to build a deck with this creature, it's about surviving, right? When you force their creatures to decay, once their creature decays, you get an ant out of it that can then go around starting to cause other things damage, which will make them die faster. And you now replicate and you grow and you build an army. So phenomenal card.
This is Phage Spirit?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, I get it. Yeah. So it's like fungus.
So the bugs, fungus, diseases, these are things that are really interesting when you think about them in our world because they adapted to the environment very, very well. And they found a way to survive. They're the smallest organisms in the world, but they survived. And they are actually at the top of the food chain, if you think about it.
Yeah, no, I know.
So and that's where Phage is going to focus.
So let's check. We have a couple of other spoiler. I mean, they've been spoiled during the championship, so not so new, but still cool. We have Parry.
Pretty generic. For 6G, you get 3 health, and then there's a cast ability that deals 3 damage. So 3 health is kind of low for a 6G, but it being a cast ability means that it can hit flyers, which is definitely beneficial against the angel decks. But then it has Tiny. Tiny is a really interesting mechanic. It's so small that not only can it go onto spots that are already occupied, but it doesn't even occupy its own spot. So other creatures can walk around it and not even notice it's there. And then it's so small, it can't be targeted. Yeah. It's so small that you can't even see it. And I love this mechanic. There's a lot of flavor behind it.
And it have no affiliation, so you can put it in any deck you want, right?
Any deck can play this card,
And we have Nudify, and everybody looks like either very excited or very scared of Nudify. So can you explain why?
So this was a very interesting card. I had my reservation how powerful it was going to be. I thought it might be too powerful for the game, but after playtesting it thoroughly, it fits really well. So if anyone is near you and they end up attacking you with a bunch of abilities, putting like 5 or 6 abilities on the stack to try to kill you, if you play Nullify, and it negates all abilities by target champion or summon, and nullifies awareness. So there's a few key things here. It doesn't say negate all abilities played by target champion or summon. And we got rid of the word played for this case because it can actually negate triggered abilities, which are not technically played. So this is the only card in the game right now that can negate a triggered ability. And then on top of that, it actually negates things by summons as well. So if you got a big summon, like an angel who's attacking you for 6, you can nullify that attack. And this is something that there aren't many cards in the game that can do that and give you that support. And then the awareness is great. So if you're getting attacked from the rear, you can't defend yourself. But if you have a good defense, like if your opponent is forced to attack you from the front or the sides, this now comes in as a way to stop those attacks.
I see.
Phenomenal card.
Then we have Poneradon.
So this is it was codename when we went to the pitch contest was Sapper, and the idea was it saps the energy out of someone, so it exerts them when it deals damage to them. But it's also supposed to play onto the artwork for Chasmodon, which was a card from Rays. So Chasmodon is a ghoul. It was the undead version. So the winner of the contest, Shahan here, he ended up creating the living version before it became a ghoul. How did it look like? So this is the living version of Chasmodon. Cool. And if you look up Chasmodon and Poneradon, those creatures are very closely related in because they're based off of the real world creatures. They're fantasy versions of real world creatures. So these are related to each other. And then on top of that, the other creature that he's holding down and sucking the life out is the pestilence.
Poor little.
So you got that play in each other as well. So as a whole, great card and only 8 aura. So this is gonna be a really easy summon to run in a lot of decks.
Axiom keep getting good stuff.
That's what we hear.
And finally, we have Zenith Pulse.
It is a really good card. So for 6G, you get a 3 health trap. So traps are relatively new. They came out in Rays. And unlike other alterations that get placed onto an unoccupied spot, traps get placed onto an occupied spot. So wherever there's a champion or summon, you can drop a Zenith Pulse there. Then at the end of the round, champions and summons adjacent to Zenith Pulse are pulled onto it. And then Zenith Pulse deals 2 air damage to everything on the same spot as it. Including itself. So it's this thing that's pulling things in and just exploding, pulling things in and exploding.
Yeah. Well, I guess only 2 turns because after it dies.
Is that it combos with Monop. So Zenith Pulse can only be placed onto occupied spots. Mobility allows you to make any spot occupied. So you can pick a spot, occupy it, and then throw a Zenith Pulse there and pull things in.
Oh yeah, that's same color.
Yep.
That's violent. That looks very interesting. To wrap up on the set design, is there any new keywords or mechanism like I don't know
So there
something
are
special?
definitely some new things that we're exploring. I know on one side it is we got stack modify. So certain cards that if they are placed at the right spot in the stack, then
Uh-huh.
they get a boost. So they
Oh,
become
I
more
see.
powerful if they're the fourth ability on the stack or the sixth ability on the stack. I'm really excited about that because it makes the concept of the stack important to learn,
Mhm.
but we're trying our best to make it as easy to learn as possible because I think it's a cool concept and should be more explored more in other games.
Yeah.
So that's one. Another one is warp, the ability to um, pick a target and then just
Yeah.
teleport beside them. So I like that one. That's going to be really cool. Phage is getting a mechanic called replicate, where when the summon
Mhm.
enters the arena, you get a second copy of it right off the bat.
Oh, cool.
And then Thymos, the one ability that I'm the most excited about for this set is an ability called Fatigue.
Uh-huh.
So instead of dealing damage to your opponent's health, Fatigue, just say the ability is Fatigue 3, it says
Mhm.
target champion must pay energy 3. So it's a
I
way
see.
to destroy their timeline instead of destroying their health. But fighters, they get a reduction on all their energy costs. So a mechanic that is geared towards harming casters and summoners who have that energy reduction of 0, really
Mhm.
penalize them.
I
They've
see.
been dominating a competitive for so long. We need to find a way to scale them back a little bit.
I
I'm really
see.
excited about
Well,
those
that's
mechanics.
interesting. So let's talk a bit about collectability. So far the collectability aspect of Genesis has been, with the older print, trying to find some alpha, some beta cards, or the occasional foil in Jara 2. So what changed with Origin, and how important this aspect is for you to attract new people to this world?
So a big part of collectability is going to be a big part that makes collectability interesting and fun and exciting to chase is the fact that it's not easy. It's not just in your face.
Yes.
We are going to continue keeping the foils at the same scarcity that they're at.
Okay.
And we are going to be putting in the epics, which will look much more epic in the starting with J2 reprint. So J2 was a dry run for everything we wanted to do for Origins.
Mhm.
We wanted to figure out how to do foils. In our first printing, our foils were not perfect. In our second printing, they're going to be much better, and we're going to figure out how to make them nicer so that for Origins, they're right. Same with epics, where they were not great in the first printing of J2. They're going to look much nicer in the second printing, and they're going to look perfect in Origins. So those are things that I look at when it comes to the core product itself. We're also going to be looking at the box topper promo, which is a good way to create a piece that is interesting, unique, that people can get if they're willing to invest into getting a full box. And then the Kickstarter is going to have some special box topper stuff. So the Kickstarter box topper is going to be different than the retail one. And the Kickstarter one, I think, is going to have things that most people will never get an opportunity to really experience and get their hands on. So, of course, like every other Kickstarter product, we will have an exclusive promo. We want you to be able to show off to your friends, to other people you play with. I backed the Kickstarter I backed the Kickstarter project. Here's my promo that proves it, right? And the cool thing about it is we determine what is going to be one of the most meta relevant cards from Origins, and that is going to be our Kickstarter promo.
So you
So it's
can.
also going.
So you get a Kickstarter promo. You
Yeah.
get one foil epic rare. I'm just
Yes.
reading.
So foil epic rares. People have been asking for them about J2.
Yeah.
Are there foil epic rares? There aren't in J2. Part of the reason was if we had foil epic rares, it would make normal epic rares seem less interesting. But I could see the appeal of why people want them. So the only time we're going to be doing them as of right now, nothing is. I'm never going to say never. Alex always tries to remind me, never say never. But as of right now, our plan is that we want to make the foil epic rares exclusive to the Kickstarter. So the only way to get these for Origins will be through the Kickstarter project. and they're just going to be the foil versions of those epic rares that you get inside the box.
I see.
Yeah.
And like there is this magic spot.
Yes, there's the magic spot. We know that there is going to be a lot of things that people want to get that maybe they never had a chance to get, or they want to show that they got something really, really cool.
Mm-hmm.
So at the very least, you'll get a second epic, a foil epic, which is in itself really awesome. You're only getting them to the Kickstarter, so that is really cool. Now, something that would be a little bit rarer is that we'll get some of those foil epics signed before putting them into the packs. So you get a chance of potentially getting your second foil epic be signed by either the artist or the game creator or someone who's part of the team to make that feel a little bit more special.
Is that signed by hand or is it just
It'll be hand signed. It'll be hand signed.
Oh,
We're
wow.
bringing a team there to sign things. So that's going to be awesome.
That's going to hurt.
And then the something that would be a little bit rarer than getting a signed one would be potentially getting a sample card. So we've heard that a lot of people love getting these sample cards because they are very limited edition. They're it's proof of concept pieces, right?
Yeah.
So people are really enjoying those. We want to make sure that if that's a piece of Genesis history that you want, let's make those accessible to you. And then at the absolute rarest slot, which would be, we'll see how that goes. But one thing that I want to put out there, I have a collection of pre-alpha cards. A lot of things that I held on to when the game was brand new. And at that time, they held no value. And I forgot about them completely. And then more recently, I was going through my alpha collection. And I was like, oh, I have a bunch of cards here that were from before the game even launched. But they're official Genesis cards with the trademark on the back. They're tournament legal. So I was like, all right, I don't need to hold on to these. And people who know me know that that's my philosophy. If I have something that I don't need to hold on to, it's not part of my wall, it's not part of my binders, then I want to give it to the community. So this is going to be an opportunity for people to have a chance of getting a pre-alpha card inside their Kickstarter booster box. And that's going to be really cool. I can show you some pre-alpha cards that will be potential in there.
Oh,
so here's a pre-alpha card.
I will become crazy.
That is the pre-alpha Primordial Forest. And the big indicator to know it's pre-alpha is that in this corner, instead of saying APH for alpha, it says JAE. Because the first set was supposed to be Welcome to J. Lara.
I see.
But then we backtracked and we decided, okay, let's make it alpha instead. So we have a bunch of these cards that say JAE on them.
Nice.
And those are the pre-alpha cards that will show up in the.
That's really cool. A lot of people are asking me right now, why should I back this Kickstarter now? What separates the product you obtain from the Kickstarter to what's going to be, I'm sure, released later on through normal, through distributor and things like that. So there's the box topper.
Yeah.
Anything else?
So let's talk about it first on a philosophical level. Why do you back a Kickstarter? A lot of people look at Kickstarter as being a retail space, but that wasn't the intention. The intention was to connect with people of the general community to act as investors for companies that can't find traditional investors. And that's more of the philosophy we're looking at, is we can still release Origins. We will find a way, we'll make it work out. However, if we want to make a set that's really amazing, to really take this game to the next level, make the next championship amazing, make the tournaments leading up to the championship, all those amazing things for Genesis, we need investment. And that's why I do think that people should back the project. Part of it is, yes, you will be rewarded with something really cool, something really unique. But let's think about it on a philosophical level. We are trying to do something that is very challenging to do. And the traditional investors are not looking at the collectible card game space. They're looking at video games. They are looking at healthcare, certain sectors that are getting a lot of investment, mainly in the digital space, not so much in the tabletop gaming space. So if I were to ask anyone why you should back us because you believe in our vision and that you understand that we're trying to make a game that is supposed to be a game that will last for the next 10, 15, 50 years. We want to be around in this space. We want people playing this game. And if we want to make it awesome, we need to make sure we do it right this time around. On the other side, let's talk about why the Kickstarter, what is going to be awesome about this. You're going to have the opportunity to get some items that were prove you were there. You will get the opportunity to get Origins earlier than it's a release to retail. So you can get those cards ready, start playtesting them, building your deck, building your collection, getting ready. Origins becomes tournament legal for the competitive scene. And then on top of that, you're getting these Kickstarter exclusive. And one of the cool things about the pre-alpha cards, we talk about collectability, and collectability comes with time, right? The reason why Black Lotus is worth so much is because Magic is 30 years old. That's part of the big reason why that card or anything from Magic's alpha years is worth a lot. Getting something pre-alpha for Genesis, that's already 6 years old. We have a history. Those things are worth stuff, and you know this. Some of those pre-alpha stuff are gaining value quite quickly.
Oh, I know. I you will see later in another video, but I broke my bank account to get one card I really wanted.
So Genesis already has a history. We're not coming to you and saying invest in something and you don't know if it's going to happen or not. We already have a history that's shown proven success, and we have shown that we will do whatever it takes to do something that is right for our communities and for our partners. So those earlier items are going to be very special. On top of that, we're going to have really cool stretch goals that will help us get to a point where we can do some really fun activities with the backers and with the community that I don't think I don't know if we would do otherwise. So having the opportunity to grow the company is definitely very valuable for the future, to make sure that everyone who's part of the game now can see the game last for 20 years from now.
So like, I need to ask, will the card have a little K in the card? A Kickstarter K?
We've gone back and forth about that a lot. I will say that is our intention. We will make sure that there is some sort of way to denote the fact that this is a Kickstarter product. We are aiming to find a way to denote the Kickstarter cards from non-Kickstarter cards.
And you mentioned like several times retail. Just to be clear, if a retailer like us supports the Kickstarter, we're going to get the same product as everybody, right?
Yes. And I think you pointed this out to me, or someone pointed this out to me, but I think I may have misspoken during the championship. But the booster boxes that we're making for players for retail are going to be identical. There's the same suite of booster boxes. We're going to be requesting, and I say this all the time, your goal as a player, the best way to support us is by supporting your local game store, getting them the revenue so that they can support us by purchasing the product. If we start bypassing that, if everyone buys from us instead of from the local game stores, then who's going to host organized play? Who's going to be creating these awesome Discord servers to be talking to each other? I do want the community to be looking at how do we support the local game stores, and a big part of how we're designing our Kickstarter is to support the local game stores as well.
And I have a small little announcement. We had a meeting with our group, with our partners at Infinity. Every dollar we make out of the Kickstarter from Origin will go back to Genesis. So it's our way to sustain each other.
There's this concept of the flywheel, which is one of those wheels, kind of like a water turbine or a wind turbine, where when you start pushing it, it's really, really hard.
Yes.
But then once you get some momentum, once it starts building, it eventually will start moving on its own. And I think it's from the like you that we're starting to see that momentum build up. So I appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Let's just wrap up the important point. So the preview date is 26th of November, correct?
That is our aim. That is our intention. We are working really, really diligently to get to that point. So yes.
We will try to talk again after it's out so that we can go through it and understand more. All right, guys. So don't forget to subscribe so that you can know as soon as we have news, because we're going to have all the news about the Kickstarter. They are going to be this weekend, and next week is going to go bam, bam, bam. And every day I'm guessing there are going to be updates, stretch goal, and new add-ons. And we're going to review that And when Sid have time, he will come and he will talk to us, or there will be other people from Genesis. So thanks a lot for following Genesis. Thanks a lot for putting time into it, to learn about it, to learn about the lore. Thanks, Sid, to explain us so much and to make such a great game. And I will see you very soon talking about Genesis. Bye.